welcome to another Sketchbook Club. This week we're going to be painting a beautiful whale under the sea using a wealth of different media to create this stunning painting. So for this module you will need your HB pencil, a set of acrylic paints and a set of watercolours. You'll also need a set of gouache paints and your 1 and size 6 paintbrushes. You'll also need a piece of chalk or white pastel too. And you might like to use a white gel pen for highlights, but this is completely optional. So first of all, print out your whale transfer reference sheets and instructions. Then transfer just the whale onto your page as per the instructions and draw in your wavy sea line. Then you're ready to add colour. Start by painting in the sky a lovely thick aqua blue acrylic, and this will be a nice contrast to the blues of the watercolour whale. Next, paint the sea a darker version of your aqua blue sky. I did this by adding some dark green acrylic. You can make the little pointy waves now if you like too. Now we're using acrylics as they're plastic based, so they make a wonderful surface for the gouache reeds, fish and splashes, as the pigments in the gouache don't try to mix with the plastic acrylics. Once the acrylics dry, start to paint the whale's upper blue section. Do this by first making this area really wet, working fast so it doesn't dry. Then drop intense blobs of blue pigment onto the wet surface. Don't worry about using your watercolour disc as a palette and mixing all the blues and greys together as you go. They're easily cleaned afterwards. Let the watercolour really work its magic. The more blobby and watery the better, and the more you can leave alone better too. Once it's dried a tiny bit but not completely, try adding more dots and blobs in darker colours, making sure the paint is really watery. Now leave the whale to dry. Whilst waiting for the whale to dry, you can paint in your reefs or corals at the bottom of the seabed. Do this in 2 layers, starting with a darker or lighter, whichever you prefer, and adding another contrasting layer on top once the paint is dry. Add highlights using a much paler colour or white to add to that sort of underwater lighting feel. Now you're ready to paint the underbelly of the whale. Do this in the same way as the blues, but with paler, warmer dots. Be careful to avoid the blue section so the colours don't run. Next, paint in your little shoal of fish by copying the fish on the reference. Paint them in after you've penciled them in so you can see that as a guide, and use nice bright colours. Next, paint in the whale's water spurt and splashes and all the highlights on the waves. Either use white gouache or a white gel pen. It's entirely up to you. Now, making sure the paint is all dry, transfer the flying fish above the whale's head. Then paint them using gouache paints and adding any details using a fine brush or a white gel pen. Next, paint in the whale's eyes and mouth, first in black and then highlighting in white using a paint or a gel pen. Finally, once you're sure everything is dry, add some shafts of light using white chalk or a white chalky pastel, working in the rays with your finger in a fan shape, making them sharper at the top and more smudgy further down. And for finishing touches, you might like to add a few white gel pen or white painty dots and details. And there you have it, your finished masterpiece. I did mine on A3 so I could frame it, but I think you'll agree that it does make for a wonderful addition to your sketchbooks. I really loved how everybody's was so different when we did this in my studio. People used lots of different colours and different styles, and I can't wait to see how yours turns out. So please do share your masterpieces using the hashtag Sketchbook Club Wales. Have fun, and I'll see you at the next Sketchbook Club.